NRL round 15, New Zealand Warriors versus the Storm. Storm too strong again. The drought continues. Let's take a look how the game played out. Hey team, welcome back into the Warriorholic. Damn, I hope a few of you guys take the time to watch this because I'm sure most of you are pretty deflated just like I'm feeling right now. I almost thought about not doing this, but I thought, nah, bugger it. The boys made an effort to play for 80, so I'm going to make an effort to put this together for you guys. I hope a few of you enjoyed it. Puts a little bit of context into the the deflation of what played out last night. Hopefully gets you to see there are a few more positive points than we actually realized. Before I get started, I just want to give a few shout outs. First and foremost to the bro Jake, good mate I've been chatting to for about a year and a half now, online about Warriors footy. We decided to both make the effort to head up to Mount Smart, and he came over from Melbourne last night. Hardy Warriors, Kiwi Warriors fan. He flew all the way over from Melbourne on a fleeting less than a 24-hour trip. So it was awesome to catch up with him, talk footy. He's played a bit of footy coming up, played against guys like Jazz and the like in the younger grades. So it's nice to hear sort of, his take on the game while we're watching it live. A big thanks to Jazz Tavanga for hooking both of us up with some really mean seats and with the awesome privilege to actually get to spend some time in the sheds with the boys after the game. Got to meet a bunch of the boys, have a quick chat with Webby. Obviously, everyone was pretty deflated, so it was tough. It was a great opportunity for me and Jake to sort of meet a few of the boys, have a quick yarn, but you see they weren't really up for it, so we tried not to annoy them too much. But what an awesome experience to get an insight into the inner sanctum there. Particularly seeing Webby having a chat with Jazz after the game about his role. I won't get into it, but all I can say is looking at the relationship between those two boys, you can see why they play for Webby. Seems like such a good bugger. He's such a humble guy. And a big thanks to the bro Rich for hooking us up with some of his seats up in the TAB lounge in the second half after Jake and I got absolutely rained on in the first half. You'll see the addition to the decor behind me here. Ended up having to buy a flag to use as umbrella because there were no ponchos or anything else to cover up with, and silly me believed the weather forecast saying it wouldn't rain. But shit, it was all part of the fun. Also, big thanks to his boys, Jake and Caleb, who always follow the channel. Thanks all to you three guys for always supporting me. And to everyone else that I ran into last night, all the other followers who came up and said good day and shared their positive thoughts. To those I didn't have a chance to catch up with, who I'd hoped to catch up with, I appreciate you all. It's one of the reasons, or probably the main reason I do this, is just to meet a whole bunch of really hardy Warrior fans who just enjoy talking shit about the Warriors. It was awesome to meet some of the real old hardy fellas, the guys with the Warriors faithful sign that have been there since '95. Had a good couple of beers with them before the game from Tokoroa. Thanks for having a yarn with us, boys. But yeah, so other than the game, it's just always such a great occasion to get up to Mount Smart there, spend time with the whānau. The atmosphere, the anticipation, like I said on social media, it felt like Christmas Day. 14 minutes in, everyone was so hyped, but got to give it to the bloody Storm. They managed to turn it around and come back, and in the end, 38-24, just too strong. Before I get into our side of things, look, yes, the refs were shit. Do I think they're biased? No, I just think, at times they're just incompetent, inconsistent, hard to comprehend. Wade Egan gets smashed to the face with a forearm, splits his mouth open, play on, not even a penalty. I think Dallin's one it probably wasn't even as bad because he hit him across the chest, probably because he's in the air and didn't have the ball that made it look worse. But I've got no problems with him getting 10 in the bin and penalised and now getting suspended. But where's the consistency? I could go on for half an hour and list things that just didn't seem to make sense. Chatting to the boys, they were shaking their heads. To their credit, none of them were blaming the ref, but we were all just having a laugh, saying, "Shit." Just some consistency and some logic would be good at times. But as far as the Storm goes, you've got to give them their credit. They are ruthless. They're outstandingly fit. Their line speed is next level, and you'll see that's reflected in the drop in run meters for a lot of our guys across the field last night. But that said, one thing that really pissed me off, and it was so obvious live, they were offside in every single play of the ball for the entire 80 minutes. And they just know that the ref's not going to keep pinging them every set. It's obviously coached in. Watching the touchies, they were watching the attacking side so often. on the play of the ball and the ref staring straight ahead. No one's even looking at the line speed. And the guys, on the outside particularly, or a couple away from the ref, are literally 2 or 3 steps in front of him by the time the play of the ball gets made. Their continuing infringement in the ruck to slow us down, so annoying, but again, they get away with it, particularly in the red zone. How many did they do, one after the other after the other? I think we had something like 10 ruck infringements go our way, but no one got binned. So it's really smart coaching, I guess, from Bellamy. He knows that you just can't penalise or give 6 again every single set. They won't do it. Chances of them binning multiple people for ruck infringements are pretty unlikely, so they risk it and they get away with it. And I think that really stifled our play. We managed to put a lot of pressure on them in the beginning, forced errors, and were able to capitalise. But once they composed themselves, Jerome Hughes, grubby little shit, man, he pisses me off, even though he's a Kiwi, but I'll give him his credit. That boy's got some wheels and he's got some great hands, set up some great plays. That little pop ball, the timing to get katoa through that gap, untouched, outstanding. Young Whalonga beating Adam Pompey for speed, and a couple of other guys, just very similar to Tane Tuopiki, but he's just got that couple of yards difference in pace that we got. We just don't have that person with that same level of Reece Walsh type speed there. And I think we get found out when we play those really fast, elusive players. Ali Katoa coming back to, the old home ground and carving us up. He had a massive game, man. He's a big boy with a massive motor. His offloads, along with Bloor and their boys in the middle, something we really struggle to handle. So I'm going to give the Storms all due credit. They're a bloody good football team, and to beat them, you've got to get shit go your way. We had it go away in our first 14 minutes. We had 90% possession, but a couple of calls go your way. They start to get momentum. Then the injuries to guys like Rocco Berry. You can't lose outside backs. One, much less two. Dylan Walker going into centre and stuffing his ankle again. You didn't really see it on TV, but man, he was left on the ground a bunch of times after he made a run. I don't know how he kept going. Seeing him after the game in the sheds with both ankles with massive ice packs on them, literally hardly able to walk. So he's just got some serious mental strength to stay out there. But you can't have those things go against you and still compete against the Storms. One day we'll get it right. I can't remember the last game where we had a full bench for 80 minutes against them, but 2 guys in the bin certainly didn't help. So, yep, pisses me off. But overall, impressions from the Warriors, I think it was really tough to watch live, actually. I put some bloody contact lenses in. I normally wear glasses when I'm not looking at the computer screen. But wearing contacts, I sort of struggled to see the field really clearly live, but because we're quite low to the ground, and also trying to watch it through the big screen. It was a little tough at times. It was better when we went up into the box by the TAB there, because you're higher up and had a better view. You could get a better insight to it. But going back and watching the game again on my flight on the way home, it was really good to see what actually happened. So clearly Tamati Martin played 7, even though he wore 6. He got a lot more ball. We'll get into how many touches he got versus SJ. SJ playing sort of the 5/8 role there, getting the ball after Tamati Martin. Both of them playing both sides of the field. I think I understand why they're doing it, to try and give us multiple attacking options, but it does get a little bit complicated, and it will take a little bit of time to sink. Tough for a guy who plays the dominant half role to come and play subservient footy. It'll take some time to sink. Really interesting to see Chans pretty much spending the whole night on the left-hand side. Something we haven't been able to do for a long time is unlock that left. We did it, but we didn't really get things going on the right this time. So that was interesting. Overall, I felt like we were physical. Some of our defense was outstanding. Our line speed was pretty good, but we definitely fatigued before the Storm did. It's hard to know what more we could have controlled by the way we played our footy. Once things were kind of taken out of our hands by losing Rocco, your main kick chase weapon, having to play Dylan in the centres instead of playing in that link role, having to play big minutes here on broken feet. Some curious decisions regarding the rotation. I don't quite get why Kate Bow was only there for about 20 minutes and Chanel only 9 minutes. But look, Webby knows a lot more about this game than I do, so I'm not going to question them too much. But I'll just say that if you take the time to go back and watch that game, it wasn't as bad as a lot of people said, going off at SJ, running their mouths and so forth. I saw his clear frustration after the game. To his credit, massive thanks to him for I had a follower from Aussie dropped me a DM saying that her son was coming over to the game for his birthday. He's named after SJ, like massive fan, asking me if I could get a video of him. And normally I'd never get near the guy, but luckily I managed to run into him. Apologized, and he took the time to take a video for the young fella on his birthday. So, he's such a good guy. Him and Dallin out there for ages, signing autographs and stuff. So on to the individual players. Like I said, I wasn't even going to make these graphics initially. I was just going to do this ad hoc, but I thought, no, these boys made an effort, so I'm going to too. We'll start out at the back with Chance. 80 minutes, 19 runs, 159 running meters. 19 runs, he'd normally be up around the 200 mark, but shows their ability and their line speed to shut us down. 43 post-contact meters, well down on what he would normally be for that sort of for that many runs. 1 try assist, 1 line break assist, 4 tackle breaks, 1 offload, 4 tackles, 1 missed, and 0 errors. I thought he had a really big game, and I liked him being able to chime in on the left-hand side. The question is whether we'll be able to get him to float back onto the right at times. I didn't notice it when I watched the replay, but I kind of went back and sort of skimmed through to see if he'd actually done it. He definitely got in and around the ruck a lot, but I didn't notice him too much on the right. But if we can kind of get him floating on both sides, and that really sort of makes it more difficult for them to count the numbers, it will be interesting. But yeah, another very, very solid game from the brother. Probably the pick of the backs, if I'm honest. Dallin Watene-Zelezniak. I've got to give his props as well, man. He's always the last guy to come off the field. He always takes so much time with the young fans, particularly. Such an awesome guy for the club to have there. But 70 minutes last night after that 10 in the bin, brain explosion. God knows what he was thinking, and I'm sure he'll probably be thinking the same thing. 11 runs for just 69 metres, almost 100 metres down on his average. In fact, I think he was 100 metres down on his average and just 24 post-contact. Storm's defence, outstanding. 3 tackle breaks, 1 offload, 10 tackles and just 1 missed. We let line breaks and tries go through our edges, but I don't think they're counted as missed tackles when no one actually gets close to the guy. And a couple of errors, but like I said, that 10 in the bin really cost us, and I'm sure he'll be kicking himself. Looks like he'll get a minimum of a week if he doesn't challenge. Could be even more if he does. Silly stuff. Rocco Berry, just 37 minutes. So when he did it live, it looked like he was grabbing his wrist, and I thought he'd broken his hand again. And that's what the commentators were saying. But hearing after the game, he actually did something to his neck and shoulder. So he got his head on the wrong side and basically got the torso of the guy right into the base of his neck. And it compressed the nerve, and his whole arm went numb. Pretty scary because it seems very similar to what Flegler did, and he may never play footy again, they reckon. I mean, he definitely won't play this season by the sounds of it. But it's one of those things that could settle down in a couple of days, or it could take months. It's very hard to predict, but unlucky for the big fella. 3 runs for 19 metres and 14 post contact, so that was good. He had some real purpose in his running before he got injured. Doesn't normally get the tackle breaks, but he got tackle breaks here from just 3 runs. 13 tackles, no missed. Massive loss once we lost him. With the kick chase, no one was able to get up there and contend. That was a real frustration for me, particularly in the second half when we're chasing the game. Putting those kicks just that little bit deep and no one bothering to contend against them. It just looked like we had nothing else other than bombs on our 5th tackle options. But yeah, so Rocco likely to be out this week. Should I joked on the weekend saying maybe they bring RTS into 17th man? Oh man, if they had, one of the things would have been different. But he was meant to be playing on the wing when he came back. What happens now? Do they bring Myla Graham-Tulfer into centre, put him on the wing for Dallin, or maybe the other way around with him at centre and Myla Graham-Tulfer on the wing? Does Ed Cossey come in? A lot of questions to be asked there. Not really sure which way they'll go, but my initial instinct will probably be RTS and the experienced Ed Cossey. Love the big bro, but concerns me a little bit with that blistering speed they've got on the edges of the Titans. I'd probably rather see Graham Tulfer, even Setu too. He's got a bit more pace. Come in there for a debut just for that game, because we really need to match their pace out wide. But anyway, Rocco, get well soon, brother. Adam Pompey, geez, he got a bit of shit for getting burned a couple of times by Whaolongo, but looking at the numbers, 76 minutes. He seems to have a bit, just like it was an impact injury, like a cork or something. He said he'll be fine. He was walking quite freely when I talked to him after the game. 7 runs, 58 metres, a little bit quiet from that perspective, 14 post contact, but 3 from 4 conversions, a couple of those ones from the sideline, outstanding. 1 try, 1 line break assist, 1 try assist, 4 tackle breaks, 10 tackles, none missed. So like I said, I don't think they count the missed tackles when you get completely burned and don't get close to actually even trying to attempt the tackle, and 1 error. But overall, I thought he was solid. He'll be back there again this week. More of a chance to stake his claim that he should be there even after RTS, and maybe if Rocco does come back in. Yeah, he'll learn from that. We've just got to learn to D up better against broken play. That's probably one of my frustrations, I guess. Our tries are very structured. They're very well set up. Yeah, they're classy tries, but they're generally when we've got a lot of momentum, we've got repeat sets, and they generally come from within the opposition 20. We don't get a lot of long range tries, whereas that's something that we struggle against as broken play runners, particularly quick guys. So many teams have done it to us. We saw kind of started with the Titans burning us there. AJ Brimson, but last night far along are burning us a couple of times in broken play. So really got to work on that and shut down their offloads. Marcelo Montoya, just 70 minutes, 10 in the bin for him as well. I felt like that penalty was harsh that we got caught against us. It was Grant Benedict. But he was silly enough to jump in the way there and do what Yo did to us a couple of weeks ago. It was always going to be 10 in the bin, and it cost us. This is a crazy stat, just 9 runs for 86 metres and 15 post contact for him as well. Obviously, both him and Dallin missing 10 minutes apiece in the bin, but their run meters were down by so much. I don't know whether that's I'd have to go back and look at it. It sort of didn't occur to me until I put together these stats at the end after I watched it a couple of times. I didn't notice on the night, but both of them like well down on their normal run meters and the number of runs. So it must have been something to do with where the Storm were kicking from, and it was all going to chance, and then they were getting up there really quick to D up on these guys. But 2 tries, so great to see we can unlock our attack on the left when we really do it. Chance with that flick pass, outstanding. It just goes to show he's definitely got some ball skills, that boy. Hope we can learn to use him a little bit more. 3 tackle breaks, 3 tackles, none missed. Again, tries going down the sides there. Not getting close to making tackles, so not called as misses, and 1 error. I think he's lucky Rocco got injured and Dallin got sent off, because I think, there could have been a tough call for him to drop out again if everyone else is healthy, and RTS might have gone to that left wing, but I think he gets a reprieve, obviously, with Dallin, so hopefully he takes the opportunity to really step up. So I've put Tamati Martin here at 5'8", playing in the 6 jersey, even though he was effectively playing 7. 80 minutes, 12 runs, 60 metres, 8 kicks for just 98 metres this week. The bro kicked for like 600 metres a couple of weeks back. This is something that's crazy. What do we have? It was a combined something like under 400 metres kicking for the Warriors. I cannot recall in the time I've been doing this for a game with that lower kicking. We're usually the longest kickers in the comp, well up over 600 metres a game. So, yes, I felt like all of his play was generally really good, but some of his kick options weren't the greatest. So this is a telling stat here. 57 receipts for him and just 41 for SJ. So he was definitely the dominant half, getting the lion's share of the ball. 1 line break assist, 1 try assist, 1 tackle break, 2 offloads, 17 tackles, 2 missed, and an error. I felt like his running with the ball in hand, his passing options were pretty good. Probably not quite to the same standard as we've seen over the past couple of weeks, but again, that's going to be disrupted by having to deal with SJ in amongst it. So I thought he went all right, all in all. An interesting choice to have both of them playing both sides of the field. Like I said earlier, if they keep it up, it'll take a little bit of time to get used to. It does give us a little bit more variety. Answered a lot of the fans' calls. I thought they were joking when a lot of people called out for him to go to halfback and SJ to 5'8". I thought there's no way they'd do it, but Webby did, and my belief is that he'll stick with it. He doesn't seem to be a guy sort of jumps in and out of plans, so he seems to rate the fact that Tamati is really, he's the one who stood up and got us out of that losing streak. So whether he reverts back after the loss last night, I don't know, but my feeling is he'll stick with this, him getting more ball than SJ. So on to Sean Johnson, like he got a lot of shit for having a really crap game. You know, the ball that he threw the pass that went to ground, you don't notice that live, but I went back and slow-moed that and he got his elbow smashed just as he was passing it. Really quick, instantaneous sort of thing, so it didn't look like it was actually a defender who got to him that impacted the pass. The one from Dylan Walker, I think it was, that went over his head and he sort of tried to palm it to catch it and knocked it on. So a couple of things that is a bit rusty there, but his defense, man, he manned up on defense. One of the things I found that really set the tone for him was his aggression in defense in 2023, last year. Man, he put on some big hits, but he seemed to be passive with that leg injury before he had the break. This time, he seemed to be sort of moving unhindered, and he put on some big hits. And 2-3 tackles in a row on edge back rows and the like. So from that aspect, I thought his defense was strong, but I just felt he sort of struggled to play that subservient role. Like I said, just 41 receipts versus 50 something for Tamati Martin. Just 9 kicks for 293 meters. Very, very odd. The biggest kick of the night, I think, came from Chance when he kind of ended up with that ball and put up a good spiral bomb that Farlonga almost knocked on. Very unusual, very unusual. His longer kicking game is longer than Tamati's, it would seem, but he was just kicking a little bit too long and we couldn't contest those bombs. And it seemed like the only option we had on the fifth play. Like I said, man, very frustrating that we didn't contend them. Granted, Rocco wasn't there, but we saw that Chance was more than capable of getting up and disrupting a kick when we got the ball back off that dropout. 2 tackle breaks, 23 tackles, 3 missed and 1 error. So overall, I think it's a work in progress. People calling for him to be dropped and Chance to go back to 5/8 and Tamati to halfback, or Chanel into 5/8, Tamati to halfback. It's not going to happen, guys. Not for a couple of weeks. I'd say it'd take about 3 losses in a row and then playing pretty shit before they consider doing that. He's just too much potential in him. Tough night, brother, but yep, thank you for taking the time to do that video for me. Adam Whanua Blake, man, 62 minutes, 15 runs, 151 metres, so almost 50 metres less than the other week, 71 post contact. So those numbers are as good as most other props, but not up to his normal level there. 4 tackle breaks, 2 offloads, 18 tackles, no missed. He did his job. He went about it and did the job probably better than a lot of props do, but I just got this sense that he doesn't seem all there. Watching him live, my mate Jake said the same thing. A couple of other people I spoke to said the same thing. He just seems to be going through the motions. Seems like he's got a lot going on off the field. I'm not going to get into that, but shit, I just felt like we really needed him. I posted on a couple of my websites, on my Insta and like, that I was hoping for him to like run for 250 meters and have one of those massive statement games again and just dominate the Storm's pack, but he didn't. He went okay, acceptable numbers, but he definitely didn't dominate them. So it's a little bit of a disappointment for me, but I just hope he can get his heart back in it. We've still got a long way to go in the season. We need him at his absolute best. Wade Egan playing 80 minutes. I thought he was very hearty. 13 runs for 94 metres. I think that's the most he's run this season, 18 post contact. But for one pass, I think he offloaded to Tohu. Again, we just don't seem to be able to read that he's going to go with him. That's where Harry Grant and the Storms are great. They will always have someone like Pappenhausen coming up next to him. I think Tane Tuopiki or Metcalf are 2 that are really good at that, but at the moment we struggle to support him and it doesn't lead to second phase play. Real frustration of mine. 1 tackle break, 29 tackles, 2 missed, no errors. I think he was really, really solid. He played his ass off, got his mouth smashed, but just kept going, didn't milk it. If he had, we might have, he stays down. Who knows, they might have got 10 in the bin, but then he probably would have got an HIA. Yeah, but we can't continue to play him 80 minutes, so it's a little bit of a curious one for me. They didn't give CHT a bit more chance or whatever, I don't know. He only got 9 minutes in the end there. But, he had a hearty game. I don't think you'd done too much more. Jackson Ford, shit, that boy's got a motor. I didn't even notice him actually go off. I thought he'd been out there the whole game. 66 minutes, 19 runs, 152 metres, 71 post contact, 3 tackle breaks. Doesn't normally make that many tackle breaks. 31 tackles, 2 missed, and an error. Huge motor, just keeps going and keeps going and keeps going. It's interesting they adjusted their kick to whichever side he was on every time. I don't think AFB got one back fence all night. I think Jazz got a couple and he got a couple. Had a quick chat to him after the game, and sort of he seems to be enjoying the role in the front row there. And I thought, I said to him, he's got to be pretty proud of himself for the effort he does for a guy his size. He's not a huge guy. He's very solid, but he's not huge for a prop. Definitely bigger than Jazz though. So I think we continue to persevere with him as well, because I think coming up next to like Marata and Mitch Barnett, both huge. 60 minutes this week for Marata, so another 15 or so minutes on last week. 9 runs for 88 metres. He runs hard. He runs so hard. 47 post contact, so over half his metres coming post contact. 4 tackle breaks, so close to a couple of tries. 22 tackles, 3 missed, 0 errors. Some massive, impactful tackles. Both him and Jackson, actually, they put some shoulders in. We've got to get him out there for bigger minutes. Still, I'll get onto this in a moment about how we use Cape Bar with him there. Mitch Barnett, it was interesting. He seemed a little bit quieter. I don't know. For some reason, he didn't. Maybe it was just he was doing the real tight stuff. Didn't stand out as much on the night watching live, but going back, you just see he's always there. 80 minutes for 19 runs, 140 metres, 52 post contact, 1 try, 1 line break, 7 tackle breaks, 1 offload, 25 tackles, 1 missed and an error. Shit, he's a new Kevin Campion in my eyes, extending out on his new contract. So stoked to have him there next year. He's going to be massive for us when we get James Fisher-Harris. We're going to have to sort of change things up without the big meters from AFB, but couldn't have asked more from him and Marata. They're just so hearty. Their line speed, their aggression, him and his motor playing 80 minutes, outstanding. Dylan Walker, it was a real shame. I'm glad they started him. I like the energy of him starting. 71 minutes in total. Led all run meters, 13 runs for 184 meters, 110 post contact meters. And like I said, I can't remember the exact minute he did his ankle. It looked like he had cramp in his hammy as well. But he just couldn't stand after the tackles half the time. But then when he got the ball, he'd managed to run, or he'd managed to put the shoulder in. And we're chatting to Jazz about that as well, and he was just laughing. He said, "Bro, the guy's not human." Honestly, watching him walk out like this mummy with his ankles both iced up. 4 tackle breaks, 1 offload, 17 tackles, 3 missed. Very, very curious for me why you left him out on an edge there with a stuffed ankle or a stuffed leg, whatever exactly it was, when you had Capewell there who's played State of Origin and centre, and he only comes on for 20 minutes. Very curious decision. I won't claim to know the game anywhere near as well as Webby does, but that was an interesting one for me. Sort of messed up our rotation in the middle there, obviously, but very, very hardy effort. On the back of that injury, I'd go close to giving him man of the match just by effort alone. Outstanding. Tohu Harris, only 44 minutes, much down on his normal amount, but 14 runs for 100 metres, 36 post contact, just the 1 tackle break, 32 tackles and no misses and 1 error. He comes up with that fundamental play of the ball error, and when he does it, it's always at the worst time. Always at the worst time. It's unusual. Not sure how he really suits the bench role. He wasn't as impactful this week. Didn't have the same amount of energy as last week. Yeah, very curious to see how Webber uses this bench rotation going forward. I do like the idea of Dylan Walker starting if his ankles are working. We've got guys in their right positions, but yeah, just can he have the same impact off the bench as we saw last week? Potentially not as much this week. Jazz, 33 minutes, 11 runs, 77 metres, 19 post contact, 1 offload, 17 tackles, 4 mists. But to be fair, he was knocked out just before half time, and 2 of those tackles he missed happened straight after that. Very surprised he didn't get an HIA. He seemed fine after the game, but to not even get a call up and a check for one of those. Luckily, with the timing it happened, he would have been probably had it done during the halftime break anyway. And no errors from him. I thought, again, he really energetic. I think he was frustrated, wanting to play a few more minutes. You can see that he's one of those guys that wants to get out there like anyone's business when things aren't going our way, and he just wants to, whack someone and start to turn the momentum. Still yet to be signed, so watch this space. He reckons the decision will be made one way or the other in the next few weeks, so I really hope we keep him. I really hope we keep him. He deserves to get to 150 games in 10 years for our club, but as he said, it's a business, so we shall see. Then we get on to Cape. 24 minutes, just 24 minutes. It's very unusual. 4 runs, 43 metres, 16 post contact, 4 tackle breaks, which is good. From just 4 runs, 8 tackles, 1 missed tackle, no errors. Doesn't seem to fit this bench role, guys. Doesn't seem to fit this bench role for me. He's a guy, if he's playing, he starts. He plays 80 minutes. Just does, you just use him to eliminate the need for one interchange, and he'll just go out there and make 40 odd tackles and just grind away. What do we do with this spot? And you can't put a guy on his level in cup, can you? But we really need more impact from that spot. Don't know why we didn't play him in the centres, and you really need that back row cover, and you can't just have all props there because Dylan and Jazz are not edges. And if you're playing Chanel as a middle hooker and backs cover, you've got to have that edge back row. And I don't know. Sifakula still doesn't look quite up to full game fitness, but I'd quite like to see him in that position. Played prop on the weekend with some massive runs. He can play edge, he can play 13, can play prop, and he's a seriously impactful player. He's a huge human now. I'll be curious to see him get a shot in that position going forward, but I doubt it will happen. Not while Capewell's not injured. Webby likes to have his best players out there in his first 16 spots. And then Chanel Harris Tavita, just 9 minutes, 3 runs, 10 metres, 1 post contact metre. Massive effort for him to step up and take that kick with no time to spare, nailing it from the sideline on his wrong side. Very interesting to see SJ not doing the goal kicking anymore. I think that might be like a thing to do with the impact it has on his quad or on that Achilles. 1 offload, 3 tackles, 0 misses, no errors. Not quite sure what the game was there. I mean, I think like Webby said before that 17th position is a guy he often doesn't think may necessarily play unless guys get injured. Why didn't they put him at centre maybe? I think he'd be more than capable of playing there. Maybe granted he's never been there, but a fully fit CHT with his speed versus Dylan Walker out there on a broken ankle. Curious decisions, but again, like I said, I don't claim to know more than Webby, but I'd like to see him get more game time. He's got that X factor, he's got that spark, the energy. You can see he's a big moments player. So, all in all, like it's hard to call out someone and say they had a bad, really bad game, and these are the guys who cost us. Some frustrations there with certain aspects of our game. A couple of guys who maybe didn't really deliver as much as they could have, but we didn't play that bad. Silly decisions from our outside backs and some, grasp at air and defense cost us. But who knows? What do they go for from here? My feeling is, like I said, RTS will come in and Milo Graham Tolfa or Ed Cossey, and they'll fill the holes out there from Dallin and Rocco. Other than that, we go unchanged. They persevere with the SJ and the Tamati Martin combination going forward. I think this is the bench that will still start again next week. Potentially, maybe you see like a guy like Ali coming in for Jazz. I doubt it. I think Jazz will offer just as much there. The suggestion, as I said, the guy like Sifakula maybe instead of Capewell, just to bring a little bit more oomph and impact. But again, I don't think they'll do that. He wants to play his best player. So, guys, frustration, disheartening, deflating, doing all these calculations of where we'd be if certain teams won, and we had a lot of the games go our way, but we didn't do the one we needed to for ourselves to make it really count. So who knows? We'll be back again. All in thick and thin, guys. I'll be back on Tuesday with a Teamless Tuesday preview. And also watch out for a Young Gun interview, hopefully coming up next week. I actually did it last week for the first time, but the sound was really shit, so we're going to reshoot it hopefully Tuesday. Really interesting interview with one of the really high potential next gen players coming through our ranks at the moment. So keep an eye out for that. Maybe Tuesday, Wednesday next week. Let me know in your comments, guys, what was your biggest frustration? Let's not just get into bagging the refs too much. Like, let's think, constructively. Where do you think we could have improved to have actually tried to control that game ourselves, given the injuries we had? Where do you think we go for this weekend to fill Dallin and Rocco's spots, assuming Rocco doesn't play? Up the mighty wars, guys. Still all in. See you on Tuesday.